It's time to make my final prediction for the Oleksandr Usyk versus Daniel Dubois rematch. And in this video, there are going to be two major reveals that I'm going to give to you that we need to talk about. The first is a tactical key that I already spoke about in my game film analysis video. And it's something that I think we absolutely need to revisit and give further context to, following on from comments from Dubois' own team.
Well observed, Adam. No comment.
The second one is something that I spotted in the face-off between the two. I wasn't necessarily expecting to learn anything from that video, but something happened, and I think it gives us a major indication as to which way this fight might go. By the end of this video, I'll be giving you my final prediction and explaining why. Whatever happens, I think this one might just end even sooner than the first. But for who? Let's get into it. Hello everyone, and welcome back to A Guy Called Henry. Okay, the time is here. This is the biggest video for a while I reckon I'm going to have done. This is one where you got to stick your neck on the line. You got to pull together all the information you've accumulated, all the studying you've done, and try and make a final prediction for a mega fight. I mean, this is the unified, undisputed heavyweight championship of the world. It really doesn't get bigger than this if you're a boxing fan. And for me, I'm really, really excited about this fight. You know, there's so many intangibles. There's so many things that we're trying to predict. As I always say, guys, the more unanswered questions there are going into a fight, the better. And there's just some really interesting things that I want to find out that I think this fight is going to give us. And as I say, in this video, I'm going to make a couple of reveals to you that I think gives us the final pieces of the puzzle that we need in predicting this fight. And now what I really want from you all is to get your prediction in the comments section below. I think that there is a hot debate to be had on this. I'm not necessarily saying that I'm right. I'm not saying that if you've got a different opinion from me, it's wrong. I'd love us to have friendly debate, a good conversation. This is just me accumulating everything I can, all the facts I can, reading into certain things that I've seen, and then trying to make my best guess. That's all the prediction is. Right before I jump in, guys, if you've been enjoying the content on my channel, if you're looking forward to this fight, then please do me a massive favor. And this is something that really does help to support my channel and push this thing forward. If you're enjoying what we're doing, and I think a lot of you are, if you could use my link in the description to buy the fight on DAZN pay-per-view, I'd really appreciate it because it costs you exactly the same. It's just that it means my channel gets a small percentage share of the revenue. So it really means a lot to me. It helps to drive forward what I'm doing here. And as I say, if you like it, it's only going to help things to grow. Also, if you like this video, don't forget to like it and subscribe if you're new. We've just hit 14,000 subscribers. And to be honest with you, there's no more targets, guys. We're just going to push this until the bloody wheels come off. We're going to push this channel as far as we can and keep growing this awesome community. Now, I guess I'm going to kind of do this video in a few different parts. We're going to start with mindset. We're then going to move into tactics. And then we're going to talk about where I think these two guys are at in fight week before I make my final prediction. And there are reveals along the way in this video. I've got a couple of things that I want to put to you guys. Some of you may have heard a bit of it before, but there's definitely some fresh stuff in here as well that have really geared my thinking. They've really changed the way I'm viewing this one. And it's really helped me to make this prediction. The first thing that I want to do is talk about Usyk's mindset coming into this one. I think that Usyk is one of the most predictable fighters in terms of the consistency of how he shows up going into fights. He's always professional. He's always on job. He's always very, very focused. I don't think we ever really need to question Usyk's mindset. It was really interesting. And by the way, big shout out to Ade Oladipo, who everybody knows I'm a fan of Ade. He's someone who's given me support over the years. And actually, guys, I'd love it if you could go over and subscribe to his channel. I guess most of you would be subscribed to him already if you're on my channel. But if you're not, he's trying to get to 100,000 subscribers. I think he's on 85 at the moment. So let's jump over there and help push him towards that target. So before I dig Ade out slightly, go and support him. But basically, Ade said that he can't understand how Usyk will still be motivated at this point in his career. He thinks that Dubois will be the hungrier, more motivated fighter going into this fight because Usyk's done everything. But just to push back on what Ade said a little bit here, I think that for Usyk, it's never ever been about motivation. I don't think motivation means anything to this guy. Motivation doesn't matter to this guy because, as Usyk says, he breathes boxing. Boxing is like oxygen for him. He is super disciplined. Boxing isn't a question of motivation for him. Boxing is his way of life. It's what he does. It's his passion. These are all words he's used. And when something's like that, it's so much more powerful because motivation comes and goes. Motivation fluctuates. Don't be motivated. Be obsessed. That's what Usyk is. He's obsessed with boxing. So not to say that Ade's wrong, because, yeah, maybe Dubois has more motivation if that's what you run on, but I don't think Usyk runs on that. I think Usyk runs on something much more powerful than that, and that is a genuine love, passion for the sport, and just this absolute addiction to the challenge. I think he is addicted to boxing. I think he might struggle to walk away. I think he's going to find it hard. He said himself, boxing is an addiction. And so with all that said, I see absolutely no reason why Usyk's motivation levels would have waned, why his dedication would have waned. I think the only possible reality of going into this fight with Usyk is he'll be ready. He'll be fully motivated. And I think that Dubois' team will actually have even made this even worse for themselves in terms of they've not helped their cause. They've prodded the beast with Usyk to an extent. I will talk about that a bit more later in the video, but we have seen moments where they've got in his face, they've questioned his religion, they've obviously accused him of cheating and being a liar. So, yeah, I don't think any of that's going to help their cause. Getting in the ring just after he went undisputed. Ade was there for that one when he tried to save Dubois in a way. He tried to stop Dubois from taking the mic. That won't have impressed Usyk either. And he instantly was like, yeah, make the fight. So I don't think there's going to be a motivation issue for Usyk. I think if anything, he'll be as committed as ever to the cause going into this one. The only thing we need to kind of mention here is the Krasiuk split, who was Usyk's longtime promoter, which did ring alarm bells right before the fight. But I've seen in pre-fight interviews this week, Usyk has come out and said, look, I still work with Alex Krasiuk. He's still my good friend. We still do good business together. It's just that he's working for my business, Usyk 17 now. I think that's what it's called. And he's just no longer involved in the promotional side of it. I did hear something about him, and I think it's Sergey Lapin is the other guy in Usyk's camp, who they kind of had a bit of a clash as I understand it. Apparently they've unfollowed each other on Instagram, for whatever that's worth. But I just really don't think, after all that Usyk's overcome, after all the challenges he's faced, I recently heard a story of him telling, I think it was Chisora he told this, that when he's back in Ukraine, he hears the bombers flying overhead and they're supposed to go down to the shelter, but he stays in his bed. This is a guy who, I think he was out on the front line. This dude has a rock-solid mindset. You can't break Usyk. So motivation-wise, mindset-wise going into this, I'm not worried about Usyk. Now let's talk about Dubois' mindset, because this is really interesting and really important. So Dubois has been using a lot of really interesting terminology and phrases ahead of this fight. He's talked about how it's his time. He's talked about how it's his resurrection. We've seen him screaming in Usyk's face at the face-off and the new, all the Usyk chants around him, Dubois firing back. He does seem, on the surface, fired up and confident and ready to do the business. He said, I'm going to turn this guy into an old man. And he's talked about it being a bloodbath and bringing chaos. We're about to jump into the tactical section, and I'll tell you why I think that's important. But overall, Dubois does seem rehabilitated. We saw him go through that process, and I talked about it in my Has Daniel Dubois Actually Changed video, where he had the Miller rehabilitation, he had the Hrgovic rehabilitation, and then the Anthony Joshua fight sort of rounded that process off. And then we saw Dubois in his full form with that incredible come forward pressure in that fight. I do think we're looking at a guy that right now is feeling more confident on the surface. How strong is that confidence, though? How deep does that confidence go? Is this a genuinely confident guy, or is it more hubris? And by hubris, I mean a false confidence. Well, that's part of the reveal I'm going to give to you later in the video, so stick with me for that. We're going to go into tactics now, though. So I did my big tactical overview, and guys, thank you so much to all of you that have watched that. It's the biggest tactical analysis I've ever done. Over 30,000 views. The comments have been exceptional, so I'd highly recommend that you go and check that out if you like what you hear here and you want to go and see that in more detail. I'll put the link in the description or in the top comment or whatever for that as well. But basically, the crux of that was the reveal I made, which was this. Daniel Dubois either can't or won't, but certainly doesn't block punches. And I said this and I couldn't quite believe it. I think a few people may have jacked this observation for me without giving me credit. That's the game, that's part of the world we live in. No, not naming any names. Maybe it's just that they found that observation too, because I was quite surprised no one else had said it. Regardless, I'd not heard any other pundits talking about this, but Dubois doesn't block punches. And that is important, very important, because he's essentially got 2/3 of the defensive suite down. People say he doesn't move his head very much. He is quite square, but he actually does dip down quite a lot. He does get his head off the line quite well when he throws shots. So I don't necessarily completely agree that he's got no head movement. I don't think he rolls all that much, although I did see him rolling in the Miller fight. I don't think his head movement's as bad as people make out. I just don't think he's naturally bobbing and weaving consistently. His biggest attribute is definitely his feet, and that is how he defends. He bounces in and out of range, and you'll see when he gets hit, he moves backwards. That's what he does every time. And this is why Usyk's style is actually all wrong for the way that Daniel Dubois likes to go about his business. Because Usyk loves to feint. Usyk loves to feint with his feet and feint with his hands. And there's lots of components to this. I do break it all down for you in that analysis, but what's most important about that is on a high level this. If every time Dubois moves his feet to defend, that's his natural reaction. Most guys, it's get their hands up or move their head off the line or something. For Dubois, it's either to dip or it's to move his legs, and generally it's move his legs. And also because I've shown you in the video, Usyk likes to attack from lower levels upwards. Dipping down won't really work either. That makes him susceptible to uppercuts, but also Usyk will go down to a lower level as if he's attacking to the body, and he'll come up through the gap in Dubois' guard. Essentially what this means is that Dubois, every time he receives an attack or a feint from Usyk moves, he does something that burns energy. And we saw it with the stoppage in the first fight. Dubois was absolutely out on his feet. He was absolutely exhausted and knackered when it came to the stoppage. And he wasn't out cold. He wasn't at any point unconscious. It was certainly a choice that Daniel Dubois made in that moment. He was too tired to continue. Sure, he was hurt, but he took a knee and he was up on 10 and he walked to his corner. So the guy was not out. So what a lot of people are saying that Dubois needs to do in this fight, is something I've spoken about as well, is that he needs to rush Usyk. He needs to essentially go route one, if you want to use a football term. Skip out the midfield, just shoot it from the goalkeeper up to the striker, knock something down and try and score. It's a similar thing for Dubois here. He needs to skip the boxing. He doesn't want to get involved in a lead hand battle with Usyk. He doesn't even really want to have to defend too much. He wants to just make his offense his defense. Attack so much and so hard that you get to Usyk and you break him. And of course, the hope with that is that Usyk has slowed down a little bit. And whether or not Usyk has slowed down, I think will be absolutely key in whether or not that strategy can work. And again, I'll talk about that in my final prediction at the end of the video. But this idea of Dubois rushing Usyk, of Dubois piling on the pressure, throwing loads of punches, keep coming forward. Don Charles, even in an interview on TalkSport, spoke about the second phase.
One thing that I picked up that you were saying to him was second phase in that particular moment that maybe wasn't coming forthwith. Has that been the development that you've seen over the last 3 to 4 fights, that Daniel now is developing that second phase of attack, of which could be a real threat next weekend?
Well observed, Adam. No comment.
I believe what he's talking about there is following up, basically. You do one good bit of work, you get him into that sort of area of the ring where Usyk's closer to the ropes. That's phase 2. That's where you go to cut the ring off. I showed you it again. I showed you it in my tactical video. And I believe that Dubois in this fight will be very aggressive. I think he has to be, because otherwise it'll be similar to the first fight. He'll be getting tagged with punches and he'll get hurt and he'll get fatigued and he won't be able to do what he needs to do. But that's why I said before that those comments about making it chaos, making it a bloodbath, that's why that's important, because in order to do the set of tactics I've just described to you, he's going to need to have that mindset, that relentless, brutal mindset. He needs to have supreme confidence. He cannot show any mental weakness. He cannot for a second doubt that he's doing the right thing, because if he does, he'll become afraid. And things will slip, and then I don't think there's any way he'll win. Now, it's time for the second reveal of this video, the thing that I spotted in the face-off. So let's jump over to the face-off, and we'll work our way through that, and I'm going to show you what happened that I think is really quite telling.
What are your memories of the first fight with Daniel?
My winner.
Yeah? Did anything surprise you about Daniel?
No. No. It's a boxing. Boxing don't have surprise.
Yeah. How do you approach this fight differently this time?
Confidence. I'm ready to seize victory.
Is it about throwing the kitchen sink?
It's about getting victory. Seriously, you know, I've worked hard for it, and now I want to cause chaos in the ring and restore it with order, with victory. So that's my that's my mindset.
There you go. Confidence, chaos. We just talked about those two things. You need confidence to enact chaos. Those two things go hand in hand. It's very, very important. And that is what people are saying, right, going into this. And I've said this. I don't think Dubois technically and tactically has really evolved much at all, even from that Joyce loss. It really is a mindset growth that is the only thing I can really see that's different about him. I've said all this already, but the context of those last 3 guys he fought, they're not Oleksandr Usyk. They have slow feet. They were great confidence builders for him. Slow feet compared to Usyk, I'm saying. I don't want to go too off track here, so let's jump back into this.
What was it like sharing the ring with Usyk? Everyone calling Oleksandr a master. What was it like sharing a ring with a master?
Look, I've come on since then. I've resurrected myself, so I feel, you know, just ready for a new beginning, really.
First hint of what I want to bring up here. Dubois doesn't want to talk about that previous performance. He's just gone, look, I've come on since then. I'm resurrected. He is not talking about the experience the first time. He's not talking about what it was like being in there with Usyk. All he's doing is focusing on himself and how he's different. His immediate mental reaction to being asked to talk about that first fight, which was a complete beatdown by Oleksandr Usyk, is to say, don't worry about that, I'm different now. So he won't even go there.
The power. Everybody talks about the power of Daniel Dubois. The biggest puncher you've been in the ring with?
I think no.
No? Who was the biggest puncher?
I think it's Derek.
Really?
Yeah.
People might think he's joking saying Derek Chisora, but I always remember Dave Allen saying that when he sparred with Derek Chisora hit him with a right hook, and he said it was the most disgusting thing he's ever felt in his entire life. Word for word, that's what he said, I believe. It was. He definitely used the word disgusting. It's not the only person I've heard say that Derek Chisora was a massive puncher. So I actually do believe he's telling the truth there. It's either that or the horse that he mentioned on Piers Morgan who knocked him out. But apparently it's not Daniel Dubois.
Was you surprised when Daniel didn't get to his feet when you hit him with that jab?
No. No.
There was...
And I believe him when he says he wasn't surprised that Dubois didn't get up when he was hit by that jab, because at that point, Dubois was so mentally fatigued. If you go back and watch it, his hands are low. He's trying to move away. He's got nothing left. Whatever hit him in that moment was going to keep him down. I don't think the jab is really what's worth talking about there. It just, as I say, any shot would have stopped Dubois in his tracks there. And I think that Usyk is kind of referring to that when he says he wasn't surprised. Because, yeah, generally being stopped by a jab would be a bit strange. But Dubois was mentally broken at that point in the fight. And being mentally broken, Dubois mentally not having anything left to give is very important.
A lot of controversy after that first fight with the shot that landed. Obviously, Daniel didn't rise, didn't get to his feet. Were you surprised that Daniel didn't get to his feet before the 10 count?
No. It's not a surprise for me. Because my jab was hard.
Was it a hard jab?
I don't want to even go there. We're talking about that's past and gone. It's because I don't know what you're trying to... I know what you're doing your job, but I'm looking for the, causing chaos in the ring on Saturday, and that's my whole game.
Right, this is the bit that got me thinking differently. This is the bit that kind of confirmed something to me. Daniel Dubois here says, I don't even want to go there when he's asked, were you hurt by that jab? Sorry, when he was asked, was it a hard jab? Same thing. He says, I don't even want to go there. I don't want to talk about that's past. And again, he talks about this word chaos, causing chaos in the ring and looking forwards. Now, why is this important? I think that this is so important. I think that this reaction from Daniel Dubois to being asked about that stoppage is absolutely everything. Because I'll tell you something, right? He doesn't have a problem answering questions about the supposed low blow. He's not what he doesn't mind dwelling on that. He doesn't mind dwelling on things that might build his confidence. He absolutely doesn't want to talk about stuff that might show that he hasn't processed things, that might show that he hasn't accepted what happened in the ring. And all this really makes me question something. We've talked here about how important confidence is for Dubois. Even Dubois said there, what's different this time? Confidence and chaos. The two will go together. Confidence will breed the chaos. He will be able to be chaotic in there and push and push and push if he's confident. And I mentioned it earlier in the video. What if that confidence isn't rock solid? What if it's not ironclad? Well, I think that we can compare this to somebody else. It's one Mr. Tyson Fury, Mr. Greedy Belly Tyson Fury, as Oleksandr Usyk likes to call him. Fury, after he lost his first fight to Usyk, also would not accept, and even now will not accept, that he lost those fights. And I've often wondered whether it's just something he says for the press, something he says to keep himself relevant. But I do think there actually is a large degree of delusion with Tyson Fury, with the whole Fury camp. I think that's something that is part of how they operate. And a lot of that comes down to not being able to accept that they're not the best. I don't think it's exactly the same here, but I do believe it's comparable. And the issue with not being able to accept that you lost a fight is that you will never change in the right way. You will never be able to go and win in a rematch. Now, Dubois obviously knows that he lost that last fight, but I don't know if they've been honest about why he lost. I don't know if he's able to explain why he lost that last fight, because he won't even go there. He won't do it. Someone who's truly calm and confident and has great perspective on something that happened to them, who has taken the necessary lessons, will not have any issue talking about what happened. You would say, yeah, he stopped me, he beat me in that fight, but I'm a totally different beast now. I've genuinely gone away and changed. Comfortability comes with true confidence. And I don't think that Daniel Dubois has any comfort talking about what happened to him in that ring, except for the supposed knockdown, which again was a low blow. The problem with this is, if Usyk starts hitting Dubois again, will his mind go back to that first fight? Will the doubt start to creep in? Because if you haven't genuinely explained it to yourself, if you haven't figured out how to change it, if your confidence isn't genuine, if it's not built on strong foundations, your brain will go there again. And I think I might have made a mistake in one of my videos. I said that I didn't think there was any chance that Dubois would quit in this fight now with what he's gone through, with this rehabilitation he's gone through. This tells me that actually, it might happen again. The thing that happened in the first fight could happen again. I think he's got enough distance from the Joyce fight now that hopefully he will believe in the strength of his eye at least, because obviously part of his apprehension in that first fight was the damage that he took to his eye in the Joyce fight. So I'm not saying it will happen again, but I definitely have doubts now that his mindset isn't as strong as everybody thinks it is. This confidence he has isn't as strong as everybody thinks it is. And actually, oftentimes when you see someone who's genuinely confident, there's no bravado, there's no noise. Look at Usyk, he's a silent assassin. Dubois screaming in his face, that yells of insecurity to me. It yells of someone who's trying to G themselves up. I'm not convinced that this guy is as confident as we all think he is, basically, especially based on those reactions there in that interview. And this is a camp filled with delusion. You know, the delusions that they put forward to try and discredit Usyk, that this isn't a genuinely religious man, that he lied about the low blow. Even, what is his name? Thingy Fox, Don Charles' son, talking to Usyk and saying that he would beat him in a street fight, that he'd rip his eyes out. The delusion in Camp Dubois is absolutely unbelievable. And then there's just weirdness in that camp anyway. There was just, a moment that Hatman pointed out in one of his videos that as Dubois left the face-off with Usyk, he shoved Don Charles out of the way. And it's a really weird moment. He just sort of elbows him out the way. And there's a consistent theme, as Proper Boxing has pointed out, that in this Dubois camp, there is a weird vibe where Dubois just will not give credit to Don Charles. He has no interest in giving credit to Don Charles. He'll give credit to his dad. He'll give credit to Kieran Farrell, who they had bring in for the speed work and the pads and whatnot. He talks about it being a full team effort. He never, ever specifically will give Don Charles credit. And this creates kind of a mercenary feel about their relationship. You know, they're there because it obviously works as a team, but is there a genuine relationship? How deep actually is that relationship? I don't think it's real. I don't think it is. I think they're there to win together and that's it. And that might work, but it's not going to be as powerful as when there's like a genuine, authentic bond between a trainer and a fighter, especially when it gets tough in there. Is Dubois going to listen to Don Charles if doubt starts to seep into his mindset, if the confidence isn't genuine? So it's time to combine all of these factors and make my prediction. And this is what I think can happen. These are the two scenarios that I think will happen, because I said it in my opening. I think this fight could end quicker than the last one. The last fight ended as a KO in the 9th round, and I do believe this one could finish sooner. And I'll tell you why. As we've discussed, if Dubois goes in there and tries to box with Usyk again, there's no way he can win this fight. Even Don Charles has said, you can't outbox Usyk. And I'll be genuinely excited because I'll be so intrigued if Dubois goes in there with a game plan other than this. But I really see Dubois going in there and rushing Usyk from the word go and just putting relentless aggressive pressure on Usyk. He's going to have to set an absolutely crazy pace. And he gassed in that first fight, and he was pretty apprehensive in that first fight. He wasn't rushing Usyk. He was boxing with him. And yeah, that can be tiring. Getting hit can be tiring. Having limited success can be tiring. But what else is tiring is just putting it all in, going early, trying to stop someone. Even in the AJ fight, you know, just before he knocked AJ out, he was blowing pretty hard. You know, you could see that Dubois, whilst he's an extremely fit big man, probably the fittest man for his size in the heavyweight division, he's still going to fatigue if he hits that pace. So he's got to stop Usyk within 6 rounds, I believe. I think the pace he's going to have to set, he's going to have to do it within 6 rounds, maybe 7. But I think he's going to start to tire after that. And this is why the question of has Usyk slipped is so important. If Usyk slowed down a bit, there's a chance this will work. But if he hasn't, I just don't see Dubois getting to him. I don't think Dubois will get to him. He might land a lucky punch. It might be something that is a little bit anomalous. That could happen. There's a chance. But just going by the percentages, what I think is most likely, I don't think that Dubois will be able to get to Usyk fighting that way. I think Usyk will still have the legs to get away and will have enough speed and sharpness as ever to make Dubois pay as he closes that gap. So that's one scenario. He gets to Usyk with inside 6, but then if it plays out the way I think it will, then after the first 5-6 rounds, Dubois is going to be absolutely knackered. He's going to be exhausted and out on his feet. And this is why that tactical observation that I made is so important. He can't block punches. And because he can't block punches, guess what he has to do? He has to defend with his feet. When his feet slow down, he starts getting hit. Even Jarrell Miller, who has some of the slowest feet in the heavyweight division, was cracking Dubois clean when Dubois' feet slowed down, when he started to sit in the pocket a bit more. Indeed, we saw Hrgovic crack him clean as well. It was only really AJ that didn't get to, but Dubois hurt him early, and Dubois' feet were so fast in the period that he was in the ring with AJ that he didn't slow down. The fight ended too soon. It was too much one-way traffic. But I think that as we saw in the first fight, Dubois' hands will drop, his feet will slow, and Usyk will be able to hit him clean. And actually, this is something we haven't really talked about, but everyone's talked about Usyk might have slowed down a bit. But if you look at those Tyson Fury fights, he hurt Fury multiple times in those fights, especially in the first one. And the thing about when your feet slow down is that you can hold them more, you plant them a bit more, and you generate more power. So there's a very real chance here that Usyk may have slowed down a little bit, but also he's filled out to heavyweight a bit more. And actually, he might be punching even harder because of that. He might be landing heavier shots because of that. I'm predicting an Usyk stoppage win. I'm predicting an Usyk stoppage win within 10 rounds. Last time it was in round 9. I actually think that this could end a bit sooner. I think maybe even round 7 or 8. I think that's kind of what I'm feeling at the moment. But if you're pushing me to be really specific, I'm saying let's say a round 8 stoppage for Usyk. But just as my overall prediction is an Usyk stoppage going into this fight. But guys, I've talked a lot here. I've tried to bring it all together for you. All the things I've spotted, all the things that I think are important in this fight going into it. Tried to bring value to you that maybe you're not getting in other places. I don't know, maybe other people have said this already, but I'd really appreciate it if you could bang a like on this video if you've liked it. The most important thing to do on this video, though, is get your prediction in the comments section below, because you can't brag and say you got it right if you didn't commit your prediction to paper. And also, please subscribe, and also please consider helping to support the channel by using my link for DAZN in the description to buy the pay-per-view. I can't wait for this fight. I will be doing a live stream for this fight, so I hope to see as many of you there with me as possible. For those of you that haven't joined me yet, we've got an unbelievable community on the live streams, and we score the fight as we go. I have a live scorecard. We'll score it as we go. I have a clock, so you can sync my commentary up to the fight if you'd like to do that, and it should just be great fun. I may have a small break, but we'll then roll into Pacquiao against Barrios as well. It's going to be a mega day of boxing. I can't wait for it. Guys, thank you so much for sticking with me to the end of this one. I know it's been a long video, but there was so much to discuss. I hope you're all as excited for this fight as I am, if I can get my words out. And as I always say, on to the next one.